British defense officials say that they scrambled fighter jets to intercept 2 Russian bombers. The Brits against the Russians. This is the latest sign that their president, Vladimir Putin, is bringing back an old Cold War tactic of testing the airspace of Western nations. The Brits say the bombers were flying near the coast of Cornwall in southwest England yesterday. They say the Russian planes stayed in international airspace but got mighty close, and the British jets escorted them out of the area. Last month, British officials said Russian bombers flew through the English Channel, between England and France, of course. A Russian TV station released video of that incident from inside one of the bombers. And last fall, officials in Sweden say they launched a search operation to try to find a suspected Russian submarine lurking near shores. If I remember, though, that turned out to be a load of nothing. Britain's defense minister says Russia is a, quote, real and present danger, unquote. Note those words. To the Baltic countries along the western border. He says NATO is getting ready to respond to a possible attack. Leah Gabriel's in our newsroom. What are the Russians doing?
Well, Shep, a spokesman for Russia's foreign ministry responded directly to the language Britain used, saying those comments were, quote, beyond diplomatic ethics, and the characterization of Russia is completely intolerable. But back to those Russian bombers that were intercepted. This is, of course, one of a number of similar incidents. These pictures are from last fall when British jets intercepted another Russian bomber. British Prime Minister David Cameron downplayed the incident. Listen.
I suspect what's happening here is the Russians are trying to make some sort of a point, and I don't think we should dignify it with too much of a response.
And likely his response, Shep, a reflection of what you mentioned, that in this most recent incident, the Russian planes did stay outside of UK airspace.
So what are the Russians doing? What are they trying to accomplish?
Well, Shep, military experts say Russia is basically projecting its power by flying right up to the edge of sovereign airspace, but it's also probing to see how NATO countries respond and to learn their tactics. An experienced former military commander and fighter pilot who used to fly intercepted missions says this looks like, quote, Cold War II. Listen.
They were always testing, trying to find your vulnerable points. And that's what I see is going on now. They are laying out in the intelligence preparation of the battlefield.
And during the Cold War, Shep, both the U.S. and Russia flew so-called probing flights near each other's airspace.
All right, Leah Gabriel in the newsroom. Leah, thank you. Kind of like Vladimir on a horse, except now his planes are near a coast. That's what it is. This could be a warning sign for folks still digging out of the financial crisis. There's word that lenders are now approving more of those risky loans that got us into this mess almost a decade ago. Well, why would they do that? Well, it's profitable. That's why. And because the rules haven't been changed to stop them from doing it, which means, of course, this can happen again. And, well, it will happen again, but will this be it? Details ahead.
More material from the Russians is coming in to the rebel strongholds. It looks like the fighting over this town, this was a rail hub, so it was very strategic. You know, rail lines go in and out.
Yeah.
They wanted to control that. They seem to have done so. The Ukrainians had to retreat. You know, the idea of withdrawing heavy weapons, of a ceasefire, of constitutional reforms that give this region more autonomy, none of that seems to be happening.